Hey guys, Dislitter Magic here, and it's time to elaborate on a point that I made in a couple of my other videos because I've gotten tons of questions about it. Now, this first came up when Fabrizio on Terry was disqualified for basically cheating for like 5 years straight. Oh, I'm sorry, was that not confirmed and proven as fact? Okay, that's my opinion that he won an unnatural amount of GPs. I'm so sure the other Grand Prix were just luck and that the judge was paying close attention to him on purpose just as random accident. Anyway, that part-time professional Magic player, full-time piece of human garbage, was basically taking mana and dropping it like every third card in his deck. And then what they really didn't like about that was that then he wouldn't shuffle, his opponent wouldn't shuffle, and I think even sometimes his opponent wouldn't cut. So setting aside the fact that his opponents were obviously complete clueless idiots, there was a big argument about whether or not mana weaving is legal. Now, literally mana weaving, like in the traditional sense, that is not legal. The term mana weaving usually means that you purposely put your mana exactly every third card, pile shuffled twice in a number that's divisible by the number of cards in your deck, and then didn't do any other type of shuffle, so that even if your opponent cuts, you have the exact perfect mana distribution. That's mana weaving. So the way I guess he himself referred to it is, yeah, he puts them in, every third card or whatever, but he just forgot to shuffle. So then on Reddit, Facebook, every forum ever, and pretty much everywhere, people got into a giant argument about whether or not that was legal at all. I think it is, but it shouldn't be. And whenever I say that, people get really confused, and they always ask me to clarify it in the comment section, thus this video. And plus, when I mentioned something to that effect in my shuffling video, people got all confused again. So that was the second time that I mentioned it, and people were like, what are you talking about? You just have to follow the logic, and it really leads you to only two places, and they're both not good. So first, you can finish the game and purposely pick up your lands and drop them into, far apart locations in your deck because, why plop them down on top, right? You're helping randomize your deck, which that is absolutely not what you're doing. I mean, whether you take all 10 lands that you're playing the game with and plop them on the top of the deck as a pattern, or if you spread them out as a pattern, you're still creating a pattern. You're still obligated to shuffle your deck. So the theory is, you think that your method of shuffling is not random. You don't trust in your method of shuffling to randomize the cards. So because of that, you're taking the mana and purposely distributing it throughout the deck. So then you shuffle like you normally would, and the end result is that you don't have giant clumps of mana or giant vacuums of no mana in your library. Here's the problem with that particular path of logic. If you're shuffling in a way that you know is not random, that is against the rules. You have to shuffle in a way that you believe and actually in reality is randomizing your cards. If you are not shuffling in a way that randomizes your cards, you are breaking the official rules. So let's go down the other path. So you pick up your lands and you weave them throughout your deck. That's the first thing you do before you start shuffling. And then you shuffle, but you are confident that your shuffling method is random. Well, that particular path is simple. Then why the hell did you not just slap them on top? If you think that your shuffling method is 100% random enough, then why didn't you just pick up the cards indiscriminately, throw them in a pile, and then start shuffling like you normally would? Because whether you do that or whether you distribute the lands nice and evenly, it doesn't matter. You could literally order them 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then start shuffling. But if your shuffling method is good enough, and if you are randomizing your deck properly, then it doesn't matter what the starting point was, so why sit there and mana weave? So with the first train of thought, you're mana weaving because you don't believe that you're randomizing your deck, and that's against the rules. And then you're also stacking your deck then to not create mana clumps, which is also against the rules. So you're actually breaking two rules. And then the second train of thought, the judge would just basically assume you're lying because why did you bother to do something that doesn't matter? If you're saying that I'm randomizing my deck every time I shuffle it, I'm completely creating no patterns, I have no idea what the outcome will be, totally mathematically random, then why the hell did you bother mana weaving? So you're obviously lying. You're just covering up the fact that you're cheating. A reasonable person who knows that they're shuffling correctly would just pick up the cards and do whatever the hell they want with them. Slap them all down on top and start shuffling. Who cares? So in either case, you would be either actually breaking a rule or assumed to be breaking a rule. So mana weaving or really arranging your cards purposely prior to shuffling is against the rules. Now, since it's not specifically against the rules, it's just sort of meta against the rules when you read all the rules, there was a big discussion about it. I have no idea what the official ruling was on that, or if the judges even came to an official ruling. As far as I know, they just left it at, why didn't you shuffle your deck? Why are you starting the game without shuffling your deck? That's very black and white against the rules, and then they just nailed him with that. Boy, did they not go far enough. Not only should they ban him for life, not only should they declare that mana weaving of any kind is completely against the rules, but they should have sued that piece of crap for all of the prize money he's ever won. It would be a little difficult to win that lawsuit, but it would be worth it just for pissed off players to feel some sense of, oh my god, Wizards finally actually did something about this jerk. All of the Grand Prix back to 2012 don't matter because he was probably cheating at them. The results are completely rigged BS because of that one guy, and all they did was, what did they do, ban him for a year? Something like that, 2 years? You guys heard what happened to the Russian team at the 2016 International Athletic Games that I still can't say the name of, or they'll probably take down my video. They said, oh, institutionalized cheating, that's a slap in the face to the game? Haha, 1/3 of your athletes can't compete. They stomped those cheaters out. They said, hey, you're making a mockery of the sport, you're making people not want to watch it because they just assume everybody's cheating. Take over 100 of your players and let them stay in Russia and rot for all I give a crap. Maybe Wizards needs to hire some of the ex-members of the oversight committee. But at the end of the day, Wizards does not give two craps about cheating or stopping it. They barely even honestly care about image. They just care about people buying their products and people tuning into the streams. So the quicker they can sweep something under the rug and have people stop mentioning it, the better they look. That is, unless you're like me and have a brain. I don't forget stuff like this. If somebody cheats against me, I'm going to remember it and I'm going to make sure something gets done about it. So anyway, I would strongly recommend if anybody goes to some sort of competitive play outside of F&M, something just one step up from that, and you see somebody mana weaving, just immediately pick up their deck and shuffle it for them and say, you mana weaved, I'm going to make sure that this is actually random. You know, no offense, it's just when you're arranging cards then shuffling, the assumption is that you arranged them for a reason and you're expecting a result other than something random, so I'm randomizing your deck. If they think it's unreasonable and start complaining, call over to judge and accuse them of stacking their deck. Honestly, they probably are, and they're probably not going to mana weave for the rest of the tournament. And if you go up against Fabrizio whenever his ban wears off, which I hope is never, watch him so closely that it'll make the NSA look like a 3-year-old with a set of toy binoculars. I don't care if you have to climb over the table, climb on top of him like he's giving you a piggyback ride, and perch on top of his shoulders and watch from above as he's shuffling to make sure that not one tiny little bit of shenanigans goes on. I think that'll send the right message to him. Oh, and also do that to pretty much everybody else. Once again, who the hell was his opponent that they didn't catch that he didn't shuffle? Like at all. Like at all. Like he didn't pick up his deck and shuffle it. Who was he playing against? Helen Keller? One time, my opponent was taking forever to sideboard, so I took out my tax forms and started doing my taxes in the middle of Friday Night Magic. And once he got done sideboarding, I was still keeping an eye on how he shuffled, and when he set down his deck and said, okay, let's go, start rolling some dice, I reached across the table and cut his deck. He didn't present it for me to cut. In the middle of doing my taxes and doing calculations, I still noticed that he didn't let me cut, and I still made sure that he shuffled the cards. It was the 5th round and I was 0-4. If I'm at a Grand Prix, I am going to watch so hard as my opponent shuffles their cards, I might accidentally light them on fire with some sort of psionic abilities I didn't even know I had until I concentrated that hard for the first time. So anyway, hopefully that explains why I thought that mana weaving is just universally illegal, or why I think it should be if that's not the way the judges see it. I think it's still pretty much on a case-by-case basis, and they kind of look for like intent, and they look for like the surrounding circumstances, etc., which, okay, I guess I don't have that big of a problem with it, but they really just need to say, you can't arrange your deck in a certain way, then shuffle it. I mean, that just seems like really obvious. So what do you guys think? I mean, one of my friends, Dracon actually, from the past videos, he always picks up his lands and distributes them because he's superstitious about them grouping up if he doesn't shuffle correctly. If he doesn't shuffle correctly, they will. But if you're not shuffling correctly, you're losing games because of it, regardless of where you put your mana, trust me. And then there's me, where I always just pick up all my graveyard, my cards, slap them on the top, and shuffle properly. If you don't believe me, go watch my video on shuffling, where I take 22 lands, slap them on top, shuffle 7 times, and they are split almost perfectly throughout my whole deck. Like, within mathematical reason, they were split from within my deck. 7 shuffles, that's all it took. And as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss the next couple videos I'm going to make. You know, that like really right there just sounded like Wedge, so I'm going to close the video by saying, this is Desolator Magic, I'm Des, thanks for watching, I'll see you guys next time.